Hello, everybody. My name is Frankie.
I'm Rebecca.
And we're here to welcome you all to Oneonta Pridefest 2020, which is obviously a different format this year for obvious reasons. I'd like to thank our sponsor, which is Family Planning of South Central New York. We're very glad that they stuck with us for this. So,
yay, family planning!
Yeah, very excited. I had remarks planned. They're going to be personal. I was going to talk about upcoming things in my life, all this sort of stuff. And then George Floyd was murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis. And I'm embarrassed to say that it took that and the backlash against that to make me, as a white person, actually wake up and realize the reality for so many black folks in this country. And so I'd like to talk about that a little bit and really make the point that black liberation and queer liberation are absolutely related to each other, and you can't do one without the other. Our entire movement was started by trans women of color rioting, rebelling, and we can't now condemn people for doing the same thing that led to our liberation. And so I think we need to remember that. When we see people who have been pushed to this, understand why rather than just criticizing them for it. And it is especially not our place as white folks to do that. We have no idea of the struggles of these people and what they've gone through, what they deal with every day. And especially for those of us who are direct beneficiaries of people of color fighting for their rights and our rights, we have no room to judge them for that. And we shouldn't. So I urge you to remember that. And I urge you today to listen closely to the words of Reverend LaDonna Clark. We need to be listening to black people in their own words tell us what they need from us and tell us the best way to fight back against this. And we do need to fight back. We need to be involved in this. And like I said, we as queer folks owe them so much. A debt that I don't think I could ever repay, but I will work my entire life to do so. So with that, I'll hand it over to Rebecca.
Thank you, Frankie. Yes. So I felt like it was important to center some folks of color today. Unfortunately, these are a list of people that have been killed in the last decade by police officers, either being apprehended or in custody or just in their own homes or walking down the street. So, Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Crusex, Laquan McDonald, George Mann, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Rumidan Brisbane, Jermaine Reed, Matthew Abedaje, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Alexia Christian, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel La Rosa, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel Du Bois, Michael Sabe, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Asamas Farrow Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Briggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Teigner, Miguel Espinala, Michael Noel, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Quintino Legrer, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antrone Scott, Wendell Celestine, David Joseph, Caln Roadmore, Dejan Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Truxillo, Demarcus Samir, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Slyville Smith, Alton Sterling, Fernando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Ronell Foster, Stefan Clark, Antoine Rose II, Botham Jean, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Atlantia Jefferson, Christopher Whitfeld, Christopher McCorvey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I want you to remember those names as you enjoy what we put together, what Otsego Pride Alliance put together today. We can never forget about all of these folks. And I'll also remind you, we'll have a remembrance portion later on for all of the queer folks that were killed, and many of those are also people of color.
Yes.
Most of them, in fact. So we hope you enjoy the day as much as you can, but we need to remember why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oneonta, happy Pride Day. This year we can't be as close together to celebrate, but we're still together. And this year we have more to be proud of than we've ever had. This past year, these past few months, we have all come together as a community, and it doesn't matter what color you are, where you're from, what your religion is, or who you love. We've all come together to protect each other and get through this crisis together, and we're doing it, and we're going to move forward. And we hate to see bad things happen, but when they do, they're an opportunity to learn, and we can learn something from this crisis. Look, the virus doesn't care if you're gay or you're straight. The virus doesn't care if you're black or you're white. The virus doesn't care what religion you are from. Neither do I, and neither should we. So, going forward, we're going to be stronger than ever. We're going to come together as a community. We've gotten through this together. We're going to work together to love each other, to come together as one, to be stronger than ever, and be proud of ourselves every day even more. So, happy Pride Day. I'm proud of the Oneonta community and proud that we're able to persevere despite the conditions, to celebrate Pride Day virtually today. Glad to be with you. Happy Pride Day. Next year, back in the park.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Pride Month. This is a really special time of the year, particularly in New York. It was here that the movement for gender and sexual equality was launched over 50 years ago with the first Pride March. I know this is not how we envisioned our 2020 celebration. Dealing with the coronavirus has turned all of our lives upside down. It can be especially hard for people already having to cope with mental illness, stress, and anxiety, all of which disproportionately impact some members of the LGBTQ community. That's why I wanted to reach out with this simple reminder. It's important, now more than ever, to connect with friends or family who may be suffering alone. FaceTime, Zoom, call, text. I also want to thank everyone for continuing their important work in the wake of the coronavirus. Keeping connected with one another will help us get through. Going forward with Pride events virtually allows us to honor those who've been at the forefront of our fight for equality while celebrating our many recent accomplishments. I look forward to celebrating Pride in person when this pandemic is safely behind us. We'll just make it fashionably late and better than ever. Let's also celebrate this year by flexing our political clout, registering to vote, filling out the census, and continuing to advocate for our causes. In New York, we enacted Genda last year and legalized gestational surrogacy just this year. But let's go even further by repealing the ban on walking while trans and push the federal government to remove ridiculous restrictions on allowing gay men to donate blood, especially during this pandemic. We've accomplished so much because of your powerful advocacy. Governor Cuomo and I thank you for continuing to fight the good fight even during these times. We will get through this and come back stronger and more united. We cannot give in to the powerful forces of hate. We must persevere and continue on in the spirit of love. As the home of the Stonewall Uprising, the catalyst for the quest for true equality, New York State stands with you, now and always. Happy Pride.